Hello friends, for today's video I wanted to go through some anticipated releases. Typically when I do anticipated releases videos, I go through just 1 month at a time, and I try to do somewhere between 8 to 10 to maybe even 12 books, but this time around I find a lot of books are not really coming out around the holiday season, and so there aren't that many things that I'm all that interested in or that I thought you all would be that interested in coming out in November and December. So I'm actually going to combine those 2 months together. Also, I'll add, there are of course releases that you might be interested in, but a fair amount of them either are things I feel like a lot of us know about or are sequels. So that's another reason why I wanted to combine the 2 months. Kicking it off though, we have Bookshops and Bone Dust. This is scheduled for November 7th, and I am excited for Bookshops and Bone Dust. I think a lot of us were really quite surprised by how much the idea of high fantasy, low stakes really appealed to us. I think that for a lot of really the epic fantasy readers, that this sort of exposed them to cozy fantasy and made them realize like, oh, I kind of like this sort of thing. And so this one, if I'm understanding correctly, is a prequel standalone, so I don't think you have to have read the other one to read this one. I think some people can clearly start here, but if you don't know the synopsis, I figured really quick I would read it off. It says, when an injury throws a young, battle-hungry orc off her chosen path, she may find that what we need isn't always what we seek. In Bone Shops, that's not what it is. In Bookshops and Bone Dust, a prequel to Legends and Lattes, New York Times bestselling author Travis Baldree takes us on a journey of high fantasy, first loves, and second-hand books. And I won't continue on because I think that alone actually captures really well what we're probably going to get with the book. And it does say there it is a prequel. I'm just not sure because some prequels people recommend that you read the other first entries, but in this one I think it's safe to say you can probably start with Bookshops and Bone Dust. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be very sweet. The other one was very sweet, and I am not even a coffee drinker, but I wanted so badly to just go sit in coffee shops. And you know that phrase, I feel like such an old lady when I say phrases from the internet, but you know how people say like romanticize your life? That's what I felt reading that other one, and it made me want to go to coffee shops, and it made me want to just embrace the smells and the atmosphere. And I'm like, I really like sitting in my house. I'm not even that kind of a person that loves to go out I don't know. Anyway, my point just being that I think that this author really captures the setting very well and makes you feel transported there and kind of makes you want to embrace the little things in life. So I'm very excited for Bookshops and Bone Dust. I think it'll be such a good book for this time of year, especially with Thanksgiving rolling around and things just in general feeling very cozy. The next one would be The Future. I have not read this author's other work, but I am still kind of going to keep my eye out, I think, for this. Also November 7th. And it says it's the author of the book The Power. And this one is called The Future, as the richest people on the planet have discovered is where the money is. The future is a few billionaires leading the world to destruction while safeguarding their own survival with secret, lavish bunkers. The future is private weather, technological prophecy, and highly deniable weapons. The future is a handful of friends, the daughter of a cult leader, a non-binary hacker, an ousted Silicon Valley visionary, the concerned wife of a dangerous CEO, and an internet-famous survivalist hatching a daring plan. It could be the greatest heist ever, or the cataclysmic end of civilization. The future is what you see if you don't look behind you. The future is the only reason to do anything, the only object of desire. The future is here. I'm like, that's a weird description. That's a weird synopsis, but my interest is piqued. So I'll be curious to see what... It's not one I know that I'll get to right away necessarily, but I will be curious and I'll be keeping my eyes open. And, you know, it's something that maybe Sean would be interested in as well, my husband, because he, I think, tends to lean toward fantasy, science fiction, and fantasy. That if he's going to pick up those genres, it's usually the ones that are more commentary based as opposed to plot or character driven. Thematic is what I'm trying to say. And this one seems pretty on the nose thematic. So I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be too on the nose, or maybe I'll really like it. Maybe Sean will pick it up. We'll see. But I still wanted to throw it out there in case any of you thought it sounded good. After that, we have Iron Flame. I probably don't need to mention it, but some of you might not know that it's coming out on November 7th. At least that's what I have. I'm pretty sure it's coming out. I don't imagine it's delayed. This is the sequel to Fourth Wing, which is a story about a girl who goes to a dragon war school and is an underdog, and everybody's out to get her, and the dragons are dangerous, and the school is dangerous. And there's a guy at the school who's super hunky, and, you've heard about it. I don't know if I need to say much else. I'm not gonna lie, I'm curious. I am still baffled by the intense hype that book has. It's just like a cultural phenomenon in my mind. So I want to see what happens at the second book. I'm curious to watch. I don't typically I don't usually care. If there's a book or series everyone's talking about, if I'm interested in it, I'll pick it up. If I'm not interested, I won't. And sometimes I'll push myself outside my comfort zone because I'm like, okay, I don't usually read that, but let me give it a go. This one is just pure, like, fascination for me. Because I can't say I loved the first one. I think that it's kind of it's very silly and ridiculous. I don't think it's really cool. I don't think it's real. I mean, it's high stakes, but stakes are, in my opinion, kind of nonsensical. But it's very entertaining, and it's just surprising to me because there's a lot of books that are very entertaining. It's just surprising to me that one. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I did a whole video about books that the hype is surprising, not because I think the books are bad or they don't deserve it, but because they don't fit the typical mold. And when I did that video, it was kind of inspired by this. And it was funny because I remember even talking about Stormlight Archive not necessarily fitting the mold because it's not that sort of story. It's not short and accessible. And it's funny because a lot of people are like, I thought you liked Stormlight. And I'm like, of course, I love Stormlight. I even said in the video, it's one of my favorites, but it's still surprising to me. But anyway, point is, if you're interested in seeing other books that the hype has surprised me, it doesn't really feel like they fit the mold and yet they break through, then I'll have that video linked. But Iron Flame comes out November 7th. That's the main takeaway. After that, we have The Darkness Before Them. This one sounds very intriguing to me. It kind of feels like typical, not typical as in cliche, but it kind of feels like it's settled very comfortably in adult, more epic high fantasy. It says, the first in an exciting action-packed new trilogy from epic fantasy author Matthew Ward, The Darkness Before Them introduces readers to a world ruled by a dangerous immortal king where souls fuel magic and a supernatural mist known as the Veil threatens to engulf the land. These are dark times for the kingdom of Kalad. As the magical mists of the Veil devour the land, the populace struggles beneath the rule of ruthless noble houses and their uncaring immortal king. Kat doesn't care about any of that. A talented thief, she's pursuing one big score that will settle the debt that destroyed her family. No easy feat in a realm where indentured spirits hold vigil over every vault and treasure room. However, Kat has a unique... oh wait, no, that's not my fault. The sentence is, I think, strange. However, Kat has a unique... she can speak to those spirits and even command them. I think there's a word, I think it's supposed to be a unique ability or something. Anyway, she has no qualms using her power to her advantage. Kat's not a hero. She just wants to be free, to have her old life back. But as rebellion rekindles and the war for Kalad's future begins, everyone, Kat included, will have to pick a side. So it's got some things that I feel like a lot of us have seen in fantasy before, but they're not necessarily things that I get tired of. So hopefully the story and the characters and the intricacies between how everything is connected will be really appealing to a lot of us. After that, we are moving to a different week. We have November 14th, which is when System Collapse is supposed to come out, which is another Murderbot story. I am not yet caught up with Murderbot, but I hope to be soon, and then I'm hoping I can try to read that one by the end of the year. I can't promise that will happen, but it is my hope. But if you didn't know, there is a new Murderbot story coming out. So it's scheduled for November 14th. I'll have all this information in the description bar in case you want to reference back to it. If there's any changes or updates that I see before this video goes up, I'll include them. But that's when it's scheduled for, November 14th. November 21st, we have Defiant, which is the fourth and final book in Sanderson's Skyward series. And I can't say too much about it because it's the fourth installment, but the first one follows a society that is stuck on a planet that is constantly being bombarded from the air by, it would seem, an alien group, but the aliens don't ever seem to do anything but attack them from the air. The only way they can fight back is through their pilots. Everybody else pretty much lives underground, and you follow a character named Spensa who's trying to become a pilot so that she can fight the fight. And it kind of really takes off from there and becomes so much more than that, so much bigger than that. And I am excited for this final book because the end of the third one was, I thought, really engaging, and it moved really fast, and it was really intense. And I think the thing I loved about the first book was the camaraderie, and I think we've had a lack of that a little bit in books 2 and 3, so I'm excited because I think book 4 we're going to see a return of that. I am curious, I have noticed that my library and certain audiobook apps like Audible don't have the audiobook listed, even for pre-order or to try and reserve and put it on hold before it comes out. And I know that Sanderson has, it would seem, been trying to stray away from Amazon and Audible. So I'm not sure if we're going to see an audiobook for this one through other apps, but I just wanted to mention that in case you, like me, like audiobooks. And the last few on this list for December are all sequels. So on December 5th, we have This Cursed Light. This is the sequel to This Vicious Grace. And This Vicious Grace, I thought, was kind of like it was sunshine in a book. If you are somebody who likes the bodyguard trope in your romantasy, then you will probably like this one. You follow a woman who it is important that her magic is used to amplify her spouse's magic to destroy this threat that will come again. However, thus far, everybody whose magic she has tried to amplify, everybody she's been married to, she ends up killing them. Not intentionally, of course, it's just her magic does not seem to be working, and she can't really trust anybody, she can't really touch anybody, and now people are wondering if she is the wrong chosen one, and if she needs to be assassinated and the correct chosen one should be put in her place. So she is very much in danger. But then, of course, there are people who believe, no, she's the chosen one. We just haven't found the right spouse for her yet. And she doesn't feel like she can really open up to anybody. There's nobody around that she can trust. And so she employs a bodyguard to help her, to be somebody who she can speak with and talk to. And then you kind of see as she starts to form a friendship with that person, a friendship with other people. She's trying to understand her magic. And then also there is that looming threat of assassination and the whole reason that she's supposed to do what she's supposed to do, this enemy force that's supposed to be coming. So I really enjoyed the first one, and I am excited to see what we get with the second one. I wouldn't necessarily say this is fantasy romance in the same way as something like Fourth Wing, but I do think that the romantic plot line is a pretty big part of the story. And then after that, we have Grievar's Blood. So this is another sequel. It's a sequel specifically to Combat Codes. And Combat Codes follows a young boy who's forced into these fighting pits. He doesn't really remember a whole lot of his past, how he got to this place, but he is kind of plagued with memories from his life before. He just can't quite seem to fit them all together. But he has a lot of expertise in fighting, and he ends up attracting the attention of somebody who previously fought, and this person kind of sees them and wants to rescue them, you can say, from these fighting pits and actually put their fighting prowess to use. So, it has a lot of the mentor-mentee relationship that I know a lot of people really love, and you do see sort of the development not only of this young boy, but also his relationship with the other boys who are forced into these fighting pits. And the story has a lot of twists and turns and a lot of secrets to uncover and reveals that, depending on how much you notice certain things, might be shocking, maybe it'll be obvious, but I definitely think that it's very action-packed. If you're somebody who likes stories where you actually see a character getting better and better, then I think you'll enjoy the first one. And I'm on the fence as to whether I'm going to pick the second one up right away or maybe I'll wait a little while, but I am intrigued by certain elements of the first one. Last for today, we have Ruthless Vows. This is scheduled for December 26th, and this is the sequel to Divine Rivals, which follows a character who decides to put her passion for journalism, essentially, to good use and try to document things that are going on in a war zone. And she has such a devastating life, but she is finding little pockets of happiness through a lot of tragedy. It's very good. The first one I thought was exceptional. One of my favorite books that I picked up this year. The writing was exquisite. The emotional hits were done really well. I was really worried for the characters. So I really enjoyed the first one. I almost am like, can the second one be as good as the first one? I just need it to not tank because I really loved the first one and I'm really excited for the second one. And that is scheduled for December 26th. So that's it for some anticipated releases. Let me know if there are any that I didn't mention that you want to make sure you get the information out there about them. Like I said before, I'll have all of this in the description bar, and if there's any updates that I find, I'll include those there. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.